Hello, welcome to Good Work Now, your resource for finding and creating good work. Today we're going to be talking about emotion management, and I'm very pleased to welcome to our show today Dr. Jamie Callahan. She's Associate Professor of Human Resource Development with Texas's A&M University, and she's also the editor of the Human Resource Development Review, which is a professional journal. And Jamie, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
And let's go ahead and start with the first question. What is emotion management, or EM?
Well, emotion management comes out of the world of sociology of emotion. So it's about how we think of our emotions, how we use our emotions, how we see other emotions in other individuals, and how the social setting influences how we're going to deal with our emotions and the emotions of others that we're working with.
Okay, and how does it, we've been hearing a lot about emotional intelligence, particularly in the last decade. How does emotion management differ from emotional intelligence?
That's a great question, and it's a question I get all of the time. If we think about it, if we think of intelligence, we think of individuals who have the capacity to be really smart, we think of. But we all know those rocket scientists who can't walk down the street without navigating where they are. And it's kind of the same thing. The way I look at it is emotional intelligence is our capacity, our ability to perhaps do something, whereas emotion management is the enactment of it, what we actually are doing with it and what we see with it. So emotional intelligence comes out of the world of psychology, and it's the black box of what's happening inside, whereas the emotion management side of the house comes out of sociology, back to the works of a woman named Arlie Russell Hochschild, and even before that, but she was the first to really coin that concept. And so it deals with the social side of the house and how we see things playing out in our interactions with others.
Let's go ahead and move into the 4 C's of emotion. What are those?
The 4 C's come from a long-standing theory of sociology, and I just modified them to make them more accessible with the alliteration. Context is the first C, and that's about what's happening in our environment, what's happening around us, kind of external to our initial group. So you might think of those as how are we interacting, or what are the emotions that are being generated with our customers, for example. The next one is challenge. What are the challenges that are driving us to feel different emotions and behave in different ways around our emotions? So think of those as goals. The next one is communication. And that one boils down to how are we communicating with other people that we're working with. And this one is one of the biggest areas where we'll have a lot of emotion management going on. When the emotion management literature first started coming out, everyone thought it was all about dealing with customers. But we now know that there's a lot more interaction and a lot more emotion management going on with the people that we work with every day in the office. The last one is community, and this has to do with culture kind of issues. So what are the emotions that are generated around, for example, the type of clothing that you're expected to wear? Are you expected to wear a uniform? Do you wear a suit every day? Can you come in business casual? What are the issues around culture associated with gender issues or race issues? Those are areas that drive a lot of different kinds of emotions that we might have in dealing with other people.
I like the 4 C's, and as you were describing the last one, community, it made me think of navigating workplace politics.
Oh, yes.
Would you say that that falls into that area? You know, how to figure out who to talk to about what and how to talk to them? And
it really does. And that's the combination, you know, who to talk to about what and then how to talk to them kind of combines the community and communication, which are both inside the organization. So it's inside your small group and not necessarily looking at things that are imposed from the outside. So community is very often about understanding what is the culture of my organization and who is in power and where can I build a coalition and who might I negotiate with, and therefore I need to enact those communication skills, that abilities that I have. Exactly. So in that way, emotion intelligence and emotion management do combine.
Right.
What are my abilities, and then how do I figure out what's going on in the social setting so I can read those emotions and enact those emotions better.
Let's go ahead and move into the final area, which are some action steps that you've advocated and recommended that folks can use in their daily interactions with folks.
Right. this is really a problem-solving series of steps that you go through. Whenever you're thinking about what's the emotion that's going on in this particular setting, you can really use those 4 C's to help you get an understanding so that you can make a decision about how you're going to act in a particular given context when some sort of critical incident comes up. So the first thing you have to do is you do have to identify the feelings. What are your feelings? What are the feelings of others? You have to be able to decode your own and encode as well. So you have to know what they are and get a sense of it. And that is part of the area where emotional intelligence comes in.
Right.
Do you really have a sense of understanding your own emotions? And can you see the emotions that are taking place in others? Do you understand the emotion well enough to know what's going on? After you do that, you have to identify the cause. So what's driving this emotion? And for me, that's where the 4 C's come in. That's where you can look at this and you can boil it down. There are all sorts of different things that might cause emotions in a social setting. But if we can boil it down to just 4 things that we have to manage, it makes it a little bit easier. So is it something that's happening in the environment, something contextual that's causing the emotion? Is it the achievement or the attempt to achieve some sort of goal, a challenge? Is it how I'm dealing with communicating with other individuals, whether it's virtually through email or whether it's face-to-face or in writing? And then the culture, the community. What is the cause? What's the underlying driver of the emotion that's taking place? Then you need to identify, okay, if I'm feeling really angry, for example, at my boss, what's the potential future of expressing that anger or not expressing that anger? In some cases, we might want to express the emotion that we're feeling. And in many others, we might not want to do that. It might not be in our best interest in the future to really tell the boss that he's a jerk in an angry way. It might not serve us well in the end. So we need to identify the option then, which is the next step, to achieve the best outcome. What's the outcome that we want to get from this particular interaction? And do I want to suppress that emotion I'm feeling? Do I want to express the emotion? Do I want to evoke a different kind of emotion? If I'm feeling really excited about something one day, but I'm really excited about the fact that I got promotion, but I'm standing next to the person that didn't get promoted because of it, do I want to express my excitement, or do I want to say, gosh, I'm so sorry, or move on to a completely different topic? Those are the kinds of things that we might want to think about in identifying the best option, and then act on it. Once you've gone through this problem set of series of steps that you can look at, act on that option and move forward with the emotion management.
These are very valuable steps, and I think they're particularly valuable for leaders. One of the 2 competency areas that we know in the literature that leaders need to have is strategic orientation and risk management or risk taking. That leaders become leaders because they push the envelope and they make some strategic decisions. So I can see these steps as a helpful filter that leaders can look through and process and do some critical thinking around, gee, is this a good time and place? And is this the right group to launch this particular idea or expression? Jamie, thank you so much for this very invigorating discussion about emotion management. And thank you all for tuning in to this episode. And until next time, keep up the good work.